You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, so I was looking for and finding the good, and you found good in abundance because you have chosen consciously and conscientiously to tune into the Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, known as the Ambassador of Joy. Notice I didn't say the Ambassador of Joy. The Ambassador of Joy, because joy is an amazing, wonderful word that stands for journey of you. And that's right, this is all about you. Because you tuned in for one reason and one reason only. It's the best reason in the whole world. You care the most in the entire world about you. Y-O-U. And that's great. Because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony. You create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And we're just so happy that you're here. And there are, thank God, hundreds of thousands of people around the world listening right now. Over 511,000 people. And by the time we bring on our amazing guest, wonderful Tim Shore, just a good friend and a wonderful being, we'll probably be over 515, maybe even 520,000 people. So you tuned in, as I said, because in this podcast, we talk about the three fundamentals of life. And when you use these three fundamentals of life, you will become happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? Now, of course, the three fundamentals are, number one, your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number two happens. In this case, good number two, you go MAD. Now, MAD is a great acronym that stands for make a difference. Lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the third fundamental is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms, such as www. Right now, this is carried over the internet. If you ask anybody, what does www stand for? It has to do with the internet. Factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what, of course, is a word, W-H-A-T-A. And then a big tip of the hat, and thank you to Louis Armstrong, Satchmo, for enabling that song, What a Wonderful World, to go viral. And not just touch tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet. What do you do whenever you hear the opening bars of What a Wonderful World? What do you do right away? You smile. You can't help it. Now, smile is one of the most important words you got to internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life, because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. That's why seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I got to tell you, I'm privileged to speak to people all over the world on the podcast and other places where I speak. And I speak a lot in person. Recently, I spoke to a group of 1,872 people. And I'm telling the story about Barry Shore. I'm talking about seeing miracles in life every day. And some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours. I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. Do you have water to drink? Do you have food to eat? A place to sleep? You have family, you have friends? Every single one of those is a miracle. I'll give you simple proof about miracles. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. So by definition, if you're listening or watching, you didn't. Therefore, you have an obligation to live your life to the full, to live exuberantly and bring about your best you possible. So let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine, if you can, I am standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And in the evening, I'm in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed, my neck down. It's called being a quadriplegic. And it was not the result of an automobile accident. It was not the result of a spinal injury. A rare disease, which I never heard of the day before, took over my body, rendered me quadriplegic. I don't communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was in a hospital bed my own for 2 years. I couldn't move. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, my hips, my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. Can't walk up a stair by myself. Can't walk up a curb by myself. And I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, all because of one word. One word, smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. I got to tell you a quick story. My 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago and says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? I thought about it. Smile sounds the same. Why not? I asked her how come. She says, because that would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. What was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a fabulous acronym that stands for Causing Rethinking, Enabling All to Excel. And we are going to focus on rethinking because you are going to enter a world that's going to shift your entire perspective. Now, I got to tell you, I've been working with people for more than 45 years. I work with high achievers. When they first come into me, oftentimes, 92% of the time, they drop the F in shift. And the other stuff happens. You got to be careful with your F's. You want to shift your perspective just a little bit. And the result will be you'll be able to internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. And these are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. That's right, choice. How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine the path of your life and your trajectory. Now, before we bring on amazing Tim, I want to warn everybody, we have new listeners all the time. Thank you always for urging your family and friends to come and listen and love the podcast, share it and rate it and do all those kind of wonderful things. I do use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word, and I do it for the shock value and the fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, are love, life, hope, play, free, gift, swim. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, that's right. F-U, capital N, capital N. Now, some people say right away, Barry Shore, fun's only spelled 3 letters. Not in our world, the word of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. Fun is spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, I want you to, when you see your family and friends, I want you to point your finger, have a twinkle in your eye, smile in your face, say, F-U, everybody. Remember to add capital N right away. And you say, where'd you get that? So I listen to Barry Shore. He wants to teach the world to FU. And you got it. Now you got their attention. You can share with them this amazing, transformative stuff that we're going to be speaking about. Now, before we bring on Amazing Tim, I'm going to urge everybody to use the 2 most powerful words in English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life. And you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. KIND is a wonderful acronym that stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anybody that inspires noble deeds more than my amazing, wonderful, fabulous friend, Tim Shore. Please say hello to 517,822 people around the world.
Hello, everybody. Isn't Barry extraordinary? Barry, I love you so much. You know that. Every time we talk, every time I listen to your program, I'm taking notes. I got a big smile on my face. I can't wait to go say FUNN to everybody. Just such a joy to be with you again today.
Thank you. Wonderful, Tim. And you know something, every dollar that I paid for that is well worth it. So I appreciate it very much. I want to give you a little tiny piece of background about Tim. Then tell you why we're here today. So Tim Shore, as opposed to Barry Shore, is one of the most remarkable people I've ever had the pleasure of interacting with. He is what's known as the celebrity hypnotist. Over 16,000 hypnosis sessions. And what he does is he enables people to have what he calls, and I call it also, unshakable clarity and confidence. How's that? Unshakable clarity and confidence, UCC. So we're going to be devoting the first 20, 30 minutes of our time today, and that's why I asked Tim to join us, to a remarkable human being who just left us. He left this earth just a little while ago. We're recording. Usually I don't tell the dates we're recording. We're recording on the 26th of June. Denis Waitley, D-E-N-I-S, one N, no double N, D-N-I-S, Waitley, W-I-W-A-I-T-L-E-Y. It's all in the show notes. You don't have to take down any notes. Just listen. Just lean in and experience what you're about to hear from Tim about this remarkable being who literally, figuratively transformed millions of people around the planet to shift their perspective into a high functioning, positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant life. And I'm not exaggerating one whit. I'm going to go through this is in the world of personal development. Then I'm going to ask Tim to speak and wax eloquent about Denis. In the world of personal development, initially it began with one man named Napoleon Hill. Everybody knows about or heard about Napoleon Hill, and everybody should read Think and Go Rich and his other books. Napoleon Hill was the progenitor, as it were, of the personal development movement, which started basically in the United States. It came a little first from England, but they didn't pull it off. The United States is a place for it because we're based here in freedom. And after Napoleon Hill, there were basically 5 students of Napoleon Hill, even though they didn't necessarily refer to him all the time. One was Wayne Dyer, another was Zig Ziglar, another was Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, and our dear departed Denis Waitley, who left the earth after 92 years. So Denis was amongst the first. And after Denis came people like Tony Robbins. So Tony Robbins is the big name today. And there are other people like Tony Robbins. However, they all stem from Napoleon Hill. And Denis was amongst the first 5 that really went out there, not looking to others, using things that he learned from his difficult childhood, going to the Naval Academy, becoming a Navy pilot, and authoring a book and a series of recordings that literally changed the world for millions of people. And if you're not familiar with a book called Seeds of Greatness, you need to be. And if you're not familiar with a recording session called Psychology of Winning, you need to be. That's Denis Waitley. Now, I knew him from afar. I am deeply humbled and honored to have with us Tim today because Tim interacted with him on a real human basis. So I'm turning everything over to you, Tim. Please, let's talk about Denis, how wonderful he was as a human, and what he means to the world in terms of personal development.
Well, that was beautiful. That was a beautiful introduction, and I love the history of it as well. So, yeah, Denis is a really, he's a stand-up guy. There's a lot of people out there that are successful, that are talking about personal development and believing in yourself. But Denis, he was really, really focused on being humble. Being a humble human being and really coming from love and really being of service and really caring about others. And that's what he was really, when we would spend time together, he would impress upon me that he would really emphasize the importance of not buying into your own ego or getting caught up in the hype and to remain humble. And he shared so many beautiful stories. Some of them I can share with you today. And so it's a real honor for me to be with you, Barry, and to be able to honor Denis because he was really one of the greats. So he told me one time that, he wrote one of the most successful audio cassette programs that was ever written called The Psychology of Winning. And he said, I wrote that when I was a loser. He said, I was at home, I was broke, I was divorced, I had no self-esteem, and I felt like my life was falling apart. So I started studying the masters. I started looking to others who were winning, and I wanted to figure out what they were doing. I wrote that course for me. And as I wrote that course, I started realizing that other people could benefit from this as well. So I started going to some shows, and he said, one of these encounters just completely changed my life. He said, I was at a booth one time and I gave a talk on the psychology of winning. And then this is before anybody really knew Denis. This is before he became famous. And he said, I went back to my booth and I was standing there, and a gentleman walked up to me and he said that he was a big fan of my work and that he really enjoyed the program and he'd like to like to publish it for me. And Dennis was like, well, that would be fine. I would really appreciate that. I'm not sure why you would want that, because Dennis still had that thread of imposter syndrome. The guy that walked up to him that was so impressed with his work is a guy called Earl Nightingale. And
why don't we just pause just one moment?
Yeah.
You don't want anybody, please do not write things down. Everything is in the show notes. After this podcast, and you need to listen to it at least 2 times more, you must look up Earl Nightingale and just listen to his voice. Yeah. Just listen to his voice. I was captivated 56 years ago when the first time I heard Earl Nightingale's voice. I didn't think that a human could speak as if it was God incarnate coming in and saying, let me tell you how much I love you and what I want to give to you. Okay, that's my Earl Nightingale. Am I right on the voice, Tim?
Oh, you are. You are. Just like, who's that famous actor that played the voice of Darth Vader? Remember who I'm...
Right, Earl Nightingale is the voice, the voice of goodness. So,
yes, the voice of goodness. And so I can't remember the actor's name, but yeah, but this guy has the same voice, amazing. And Earl was fascinating. You know, he was a sailor, and when Pearl Harbor got bombed, he was on one of the ships that got blown up and knocked him in the water, and people saved him, pulled him out of the fire and the water, and he was changed by that. He's like, I can't believe that people saved me. I can't believe I lived through that. There must be a deeper purpose for me. And so he developed this publishing company to help people to learn how to believe in themselves more. And so anyway, he found Dennis, and Dennis kind of told me, he says, people give me a lot of credit for getting this program out there. He says, I really never sold anything a day in my life. He said, it was Earl that pushed it and shared it. And, which really taught me that a lot of us are out there trying to do things by ourselves. And that's the hardest, slowest way to do it. You got to be with your friends. You got to find other people to partner with. You got to build your team, build your community, so you're not out there by yourself. And so Dennis was a great example of that. So he went and toured all over the place, and he said, one of the most impactful experiences I ever had was I went to one of the big stadium revival events, and Billy Graham was there. And Billy Graham, is a famous evangelist and advisor to multiple presidents, and really speaking the word of God into the world. And so he knew of Dennis Waitley. So Dennis was asked to come backstage at one of these stadium experiences and have a conversation with Reverend Billy Graham. Right? So, and he said that it was, Dennis said, I'm very humbled. I wouldn't say that I have a real strong relationship with God, but I'd like to, and I'm learning. And he said Billy was very humble, because Billy, when you listen to him, he also it's really important to be humble, especially when you're out there talking to millions of people. It can be tempting to start to get full of yourself. We have lots of examples, especially in social media, of people who are trying to act important. In fact, something that you said, Barry, right before we went on air, right? A little trade secret of yours I'm going to spill to the whole group, right? You said express, not impress. And that was beautiful. In fact, as soon as we're done, I'm going to make a little video and I'm going to share your wisdom with my community, because that was so exactly right. And I bet you do that every time right before you go on. Express, don't impress, because it's not about you. It's about the message, and it's about the people that are listening and watching right now, right? It's about us. And that's what Billy tried to impress into Dennis, the importance of humility.
Let me pause just one moment. Yeah. I am so happy that you mentioned the term us, because it's not about a me, it's not about an I, it's about an us. And us is a great acronym that stands for United Souls.
Ooh, there it is.
We are, souls. We are all united. And I just want to mention to everybody that, because I love acronyms, that the psychology of winning. P is the first letter in psychology. O of winning. Pow! I'll tell you what we're going to do. The big pow right now, with your permission, Tim. Well, we have sponsors that love us. We wouldn't urge you to consider using them if we didn't vet them and think they're worthy of your time. And so we're going to go to a quick break. We'll be right back with more Tim and more Dennis and more expressions of what it means to have been in Dennis's world. Right back after this brief message. Don't go away.
Hello, skincare connoisseurs. If you think you have tried everything in skincare, you are going to love what I am about to tell you. I'm pharmacist Benjamin I. Fuchs. I'm a dermatology pharmacist. And what I've discovered in my compounding pharmacy after decades of working with patients with skin traumas and skin diseases is the missing link in skincare is topical essential nutrition. And because of this missing link, we're not maximizing the potential of topical skincare. We're leaving skin beauty and skin health on the table. And that's why I formulated my Truth Treatments. Listen, the skin's an organ. It needs and wants and craves nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, and plant-derived minerals, and now it can get them in super high concentrations in my Truth Treatments. Originally formulated for dermatologists and their patients, now they're available to you. Check them out today at truthtreatments.com, and I know you are going to love the truth.
Good day. Beautiful bonds with beloved immortal beings and good looking people. You have a good looking, so I was looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. His name is Tim Shore, and our cup runneth over with good. Tim, you left us hanging. More about Dennis, the power of winning, Earl Nightingale, and being humble with Billy Graham. And sort of tens and tens of thousands of people at the stadium, millions watching. Yeah, it could get to the point where your head gets so big you can't get through the doorway. The word of the Lord is always be humble and kind. Tell us more about Dennis.
So I met Dennis because I was putting together a Legend Summit, right, which you were a part of. And I wanted to find the most amazing people on the planet that were sharing their gifts and their messages in ways that were so influential and beautiful and charismatic. And you, of course, are the definition of all of those things. And so, so I wanted to meet Dennis, and I was working through my connections to find him, and we connected. And as we got to know each other, he was just such an amazing guy. I would sit there and just take notes, just like I do with you, Barry. I would sit there and I would take notes and I would listen, and because when I was younger, Tony Robbins is about 10 years older than me, and so I would listen to his audio programs when I was like 20 years old. And he said that no matter how successful I get, I'm always in the front of the room taking notes. I'm always ready to learn. Always be a student. Never think you know everything, because that's a good sign you don't know anything.
Everybody hear that? Always be a student.
Always be a student. So I'm always taking notes. I'm taking notes from what you're saying here, and taking notes from Dennis, and he was talking about the importance of giving, and then he stepped up and he did that, right? So a private story. I just shared this online, and his community responded back to it, which I thought was sweet. But Dennis had developed this Inner Winner app, and he put a lot of money into it. And the app itself was not designed very well. I mean, it was not user friendly. And so he asked me if I would look at it before it was released. And I looked at it and I'm like, Dennis, this is very confusing. And he's like, I know. And he said, I'm really upset about it. And I'm not sure what to do. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to create tutorial videos for you. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to put it together. I'm going to show people very easily how to do this and get the most out of it, because all this wisdom that you have is in here and people need this. And he was so thankful and appreciative. And of course, I felt good. And then he wanted to pay me. And I'm like, no way. This is an honor doing this for you. Right. So if you have an opportunity to do something good for one of your heroes, you do it. Right. And so and don't expect anything in return, because I didn't. I felt joyful doing it. Right?
Give.
Yes.
The ability to be a giver is the highest level of being human.
That's right. It filled me with joy to give, right? More than if he could have given me 10 grand, and I wouldn't have had the joy that I got from being able to do him a favor, in his time of need, right? After all that he had given me through his programs, like Seeds of Greatness, right? Great. So I felt like an honor. So I did that. He was super appreciative, and and then we just kind of moved on, right? I've done favors for people. People have done favors for me. We take care of each other because it's about us, like we said. So, but the sweet thing about Dennis is that a couple weeks later, after the launch of his app, I get a card in the mail from him, and there's a check for $500 and a little note that says, "Please take your wife out on a really nice dinner. Love, Dennis." And I'm like, come on, that's so classy, right? That was so classy. And I don't know where I'm going to go for dinner for $500, but but I thought that was really, really nice. That the gesture. It was a handwritten note. It wasn't an email. He took the time. It was a gift, unexpected. He thought of my wife and I, right? So we got to have that experience together. I mean, it was just really beautiful. And when you do something like that and you don't have to, it's very touching. So one other person did that for me one time, which I also, when someone does that, your respect for them goes way up. And it was Bob Proctor, actually. It did something for me before like that too.
Pause for a moment, because Bob Proctor left us just a couple of years ago also.
Yes.
I would like to, with your permission, share one, since you mentioned about Dennis, what you did. Mm-hmm. So Bob Proctor was, for me, a great mentor, mm-hmm. and also taught me two wonderful ideas that go together. And it's about something called willingly giving, mm-hmm. and graciously receiving. Mm. Because most people in the world think they're givers only to get something else. That's not giving. He said, okay, you can do something that's nice. It's not giving. Well, we're talking about what you're discussing, Tim, and was exemplified by Dennis, is the ability to be willingly giving. When you said, let me make tutorials so that this app does not go down in flames, you were willingly giving. You were not looking for, expecting, didn't want anything in reciprocity. That's willing giving. Bob Proctor talks about frequency. You were on that high frequency. When we talk about love, we talk about living on vibrant energy. So therefore, you could willingly receive that grand note and check. And then whatever you did eat using that, it was a different experience. That was Bob Proctor. So I needed to interrupt because he touched me deep.
Yeah. It was built into his later programs. The last few programs he was launching, it was all about building community and getting you connecting with others and focusing on what you can give instead of what you can get out of it, and no strings attached. And so usually people are either good at giving, but they're terrible at receiving, or, they're terrible at giving, and they're pretty good at taking, and you don't want to be a taker. You want to be a giver.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's okay, though. It is okay also, though, to receive. Mark Victor Hansen, we talked about that a lot, where he said, you got to ask for what you want. His last book was called Ask, because you also have to have the confidence and courage to ask for what you want and be willing to receive it, because a lot of people have difficulty with that, and they're turning down what would help them to add more beauty to the world.
So this is also very wonderful that you mentioned Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield together co-authored the most printed book series in the history of printing. Yeah. The only other printing that's larger is the Bible. And right after them comes Harry Potter series. But more than 500 million copies of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. So Mark knows what he's talking about. And he and I, thank God, are good friends. And I told him that ASK stands for always seeking kindness.
Of course.
When you ask with that mindset, and you're bringing good into the world, right?
That's right.
We call it become an ask hole. Because whole stands for helping others live enthusiastically. So when you're asking out of kindness, you're creating another kind of frequency, talking about Bob Proctor. So we're dropping names because these are the people who are maintaining this remarkable process called personal development. And it's what we need in the world. The more that one reaches out to another, and you share this podcast and these names and these not just ideas, because you want to do them, not just think about them. Action is the key element in all of these things. Dennis used to talk about that as well. I mean, the key element in psychology of winning is action. You can be listening all day, but if you don't, without action, it's not real.
That's right. And your intention as well. When we're mentioning these names, we're not mentioning it so that we can feel special. We're mentioning it because we're honoring people who we truly respect and love and appreciate because of they spent their lifetime adding value to the world. And, you know, we love that about them. And so I think your intention is very important as well when you're out there in the world.
Thank you. Let's use this to shift into this process that we call zero limits.
Yes. So I'm in Sacramento, California right now for the movie premiere of Zero Limits, which is based on another high achiever, Joe Vitale, his book Zero Limits. They made a movie out of it, and I'm excited to walk the red carpet tonight, and because I'm in that movie, and I'm honored to be so.
So I think Zero Limits is an expression by Joe of the great masters and what he's been able to distill into the book, into the books, into the movement, and really the ability for the human being to understand through humility. This is where it almost comes as a oxymoron. It's not. Zero limits. The greater you become, the more humble you want to be. I mean, as you said, Dennis embodied that.
Mm-hmm.
He was the consummate gentleman when it came to what it is that he was doing. By the way, as a point of interest, the Psychology of Winning, I think, sold over 2 million copies, these audio tapes and such like that.
Yes.
I'm dating myself. And it generated more than $100 million in gross revenues.
Yeah.
Not all to him. That's not the point. The point is that what he did is to create a tsunami of goodness always.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right on that?
You are absolutely right on that. Yes. In fact, I have a Dennis Waitley, Joe Vitale story.
Oh, wow. Let's hear it. And well, that's the ultimate JV, Joe Vitale. You want to do a JV? Do it with Joe.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously a lot of us, you know, we're big fans of Dennis Waitley and his work and stuff. And so there was an event where Dennis was speaking and Joe was speaking at that event as well. And Joe got a chance to walk up to him afterwards and introduce himself. And Dennis knew who he was. And Joe was very touched by that, right? It's very, you know, when your hero knows your name, it's like, ooh, that's awesome. And so, you know, he walked up to Dennis and he just said it was a great honor to meet him because Joe's a very gracious guy. He's a very kind guy. He can come across tough and strong, Italian in your face, but he is the sweetest, kindest guy inside. And so anyway, Dennis said, you know, Joe, I'm a big fan of yours too. And I will tell you the best part of the evening for me was watching you speak. And I really enjoyed it. And I want to thank you so much for what you do. And Joe said he almost fainted. But that's what Dennis did. And that's the key to greatness, I think. That's a seed of greatness. Dennis knew he had an opportunity to make a difference, that he had an opportunity to lift someone up, that he had an opportunity to fill Joe's heart with love, that he had the ability to be a fan. He could have said thank you and yes, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. You want my autograph? Dennis didn't do any of that stuff. Instead, he made it all about Joe. He made Joe feel like he was the most important person in the room. And one of the reasons why I've been able to get into doors and into rooms where I don't even know how I got in there is because I intentionally take action to make people feel like they're amazing and the most beautiful person in the whole world that I ever met when I'm hanging out with them. And it's genuine because everybody counts, everybody matters, everybody's worthy, everybody has a story, everybody has pain, pleasure, lessons, and and insights from their experiences. And I make them feel love. I got my acronym, LOVE, L-U-V, listened to, understood, and validated. So I go through my life loving people, and it has allowed me to get into places where sometimes I don't even feel like I belong there, standing with these giants of self-help. So yeah, pretty awesome.
It's funny, since you mentioned you're in Sacramento at the moment, and
Yeah.
not that far from you, an hour and a half drive, are the great giant redwoods.
Mm.
And I was just picturing in my mind what you're saying. To walk amongst the redwoods as a regular human being, plus minus 6 feet, with these, not just that they're big and amazing, and they've been around for hundreds of years, some for thousands of years, and they tower 70, 80, 100 feet. These are the people we're speaking with. And when you are walking amongst the redwoods, the genius I've felt being amongst the redwoods is that you become part of it. So when you're, no matter who it is that you admire, that you love and such, again, we're talking about in the world of personal development, good, solid, giving people, then they are redwoods. However, you're not a grasshopper. You're part of their world, and you're part of, again, when you use what you said, Tim, was so critical, intention, the intention of love, of lifting up, of becoming an ambassador of joy. Okay, if you can, let's have some more either Dennis stories or ideas, one or two ideas that you have used over the decades now from Dennis's book, The Seeds of Greatness, or The Psychology of Winning. Just two.
Well, the first one is your attitude, right? And we talk about mindset so much now that it almost feels cliche. But your mindset, and there's a distinction that I've learned from studying the greats and then taking what they've taught and putting it into action, and then figuring out what happens when it doesn't work. What happens when you get stuck? What happens when it feels like you're doing all the things? You know, you're doing the affirmations, you're going to the classes, you're walking on coals with Tony Robbins, you're creating your vision boards, and then you're still not creating that success or having those breakthroughs. Why? And that's what I wanted to learn. And so one of the things that I've learned from all the sessions and all the decades of obsessively trying to figure this out is that you've got your mindset, but then you've got underneath your mindset, which is your unconscious mind. And your unconscious mind stores your beliefs and your habits, and it's like the seed of your feelings, your emotions. I was talking to someone just recently, and he said, very smart guy, and he said, how come I can intellectually know all this stuff, but I still can't change it? And it's because you have to get to your emotions, and your emotions are being driven by your deepest core foundational beliefs. And most people are never getting to those beliefs. It's like having a mental weed, and you're cutting the top off the weed talking about it, which is why therapy doesn't work a lot of times, because you're just talking about your problems. You're cutting the top of the weeds off, so they don't know what to do. So they give you medicine. That's like throwing dirt on top of the weeds, but they're never pulling it out at the root. And so it keeps growing back. So I learned to pull it out at the root and then replace it with a flower. Now, the biggest mental weed we have is that I'm not good enough. And because I'm not enough, I won't be loved. And then we develop all these strategies to try to get love or to try to not need it. And it's what causes the fear, the rejection, the greed, the selfishness, the fear of abandonment, imposter syndrome, the burnout, the overwhelm, all the frustrations, the negative inner critic is all stemming from that fear that we're not enough and we won't be able to handle it and we're not safe. And it just causes us to run very quickly in a circle. So if I can give you a solid tip, if you are struggling in any way, you've got to find the unconscious beliefs. What would I have to believe to feel this way? And just keep asking yourself that question until you get to that core. And if you're having trouble, go find a hypnotist or reach out to one of our One Belief Away hypnotists, and we will help you uncover that, pull that weed, plant that flower, because the potential is already inside of you. It's like a lamp that's not plugged in. It's ready to light up the darkest room. You just got to plug it into source. And that's what you need to do.
Well, as I urge everybody, don't take notes. Just lean into the experience. This is wondrous. You really want to listen another time. And then pause it because it's yours. You own this. This is yours, available to you anytime you want. Pause, listen, write down notes, pause, saying, okay, I'm going to approve this, and then listen a third time, and then do something. Yeah. Take action.
That's sage advice, because people are afraid I'm going to lose it. And if I'm going to lose it, then I'm not going to have it, and then it's not going to work. And notice, you're coming from fear again, right? You got to come from faith, right? We're playing not to lose. You got to play to win.
Woo! Faith, that's another great program also. Faith, finding answers in the highest.
Oh, amen.
Now, again, remember, we have wonderful sponsors that love the show and keep going and such like that. So we would not have them on. We didn't think they're worthy of your time and attention. Please listen. We'll be right back with more Tim after this message. Don't go away. This is wonderful. This is all about you. See you in just a bit.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card, and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe good-looking, so I was looking for and finding the good in abundance. This amazing man, Tim Shore, he is a student of Dennis Waitley, one of the great people that have made the idea of success, of winning, ripping out those core beliefs and replacing it with the stem real. Dennis just passed away. Let me see, the 7th of June. We're in the 26th, or 19 days ago. He lived 93 years on the earth, and the last 7 or 8 decades of his life were all dedicated to giving, to being able to build others, to be of benefit. I call him Bob, being of benefit. And he was one amongst the great early adopters and progenitors of the self-development process that is going to encircle the world and is the harbinger of peace. That's really the greatest benefit of it. It's the harbinger of peace, not conflict, not war. And the greatest war that we know of takes place inside of oneself, as Tim said just before the break. When you can become at peace with yourself, then everything around you ripples out in peace. And guess what happens to the rest of the world? Yes, you are responsible and capable of bringing peace to the world. We have just a few more minutes, wonderful Tim. I want to say 2 things. Number 1, thank you for being here. Number 2, I would like you to speak about something that is really dear to your heart and your mind. It's called the achiever syndrome. The achiever syndrome. What is that? And why are you such a devotee of the achiever syndrome?
Well, yeah, I coined that term, achiever syndrome, because I'm working with so many high performers, and I'm a high performer, and yet it's a double-edged sword. It feels like no matter what we accomplish, it's never enough. No matter what we do or where we're at, we should be somewhere else, right? Whatever we've accomplished doesn't matter. It's all about what we haven't accomplished yet. And so we constantly are feeling like we're trying so hard to get to the finish line. And as soon as we get to it, someone pushes the finish line farther, right? And that someone is us in our minds. And so it causes us to have a tremendous amount of stress and burnout and overwhelm and frustration. We end up trying to change how we're feeling with drugs or alcohol. You see so many celebrities or famous people who seem to have it all, and then they end up, they're found dead, and because they're just not happy, they're not fulfilled, and so they're getting lost, and it's heartbreaking. And so I always thought if I knew them and I could have a quick conversation with them, they'd still be with us. And so as I'm working with these high achievers, I'm realizing that when you are out there and you're trying to make things happen, you're doing it all by yourself. You can feel very lonely. Or if maybe you've built a huge business, now you feel like you're responsible for everybody else's success. You know, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And it just creates all this pressure. And it's shocking how many people still feel undeserving or have imposter syndrome, and they have millions of fans and they're uber wealthy. And yet inside they still feel anxious and insecure and have panic attacks, have all kinds of health challenges because of the experiences really that they've been through. We all go through big T and little t traumas, and our brain makes up beliefs about those experiences without our permission. And some of those beliefs are very damaging, like not being good enough and not being safe. And so our job is to become a belief hunter and a wisdom collector, and to realize that your biggest breakthroughs are hiding in the places you don't want to go. And if you are willing to have the courage to go take a look at your core unconscious beliefs, that is the fastest way to create peace. That's the fastest way to create more joy. That's the fastest way to heal your past and break bad habits and achieve what most people think are impossible. I've watched it in front of me thousands of times, and it can happen for you too.
Again, I urge everybody, you don't want to be taking notes. What you want to do is lean in and say, thank you, dear Lord, that I'm even listening to this. And this is available. And by the way, available at no cost in terms of dollars. There is a cost. It's your time. It's your mind. When you begin to invest in the greatest wealth possible, you,
yes,
and you invest your most valuable asset, time. You and Elon have the same amount of time. Doesn't matter what the digits are in the book. It's beside the point. Right. You have the time. So listen to this a second time and a third time. Everything about Tim is in the show notes, and there's great stuff available. I mean, it's so wonderful. Tim, I'm actually sorry to say the words I'm going to say now. We're coming to a close of our time together. I have 3 quick questions for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Number 1, will you come back again?
Yes.
Woo! Number 2, Tim Shore, you have only 80 seconds to answer this question. What is your most fervent desire?
To make my wife feel like she's more important than my business and career. Make my children feel like they're more important than the thousands of people that I surround myself with all the time. When you are out there making a big difference in the world and you're trying really hard to get your music out and enrich the lives of others, the people that are there by you the whole time can feel second class. They can feel neglected. They can feel like you don't care about them as much as you care about everybody else. It's one of the problems with being a high achiever. And so that is my obsession right now, besides also, creating a stronger relationship with God. Bob Proctor always said he had one book on his desk his whole life, and it was Think and Grow Rich. And I did that for a long time until I realized that personal development can take you far, but not all the way. So the book that I have on my desk right now is the Bible.
The third question. May I give you a hug in front of 527,917 people around the world?
Let's all of us hug together.
Okay.
So, yeah. So whoever's watching and listening right now, you better get ready, because you're part of this.
HUG stands for heartfelt, unlimited giving. 1, 2, 3.
Yay!
Listening to The Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. And this show is not about Tim, fabulous fellow that he is, or about Barry, great guy. It's about you, Y-O-U. You becoming the best you, because when you are the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And when you do that, the 3 fundamentals fall in place. Number 1, life. Your life has purpose. Number 2, you lead a purpose-driven life. You go mad. Mad stands for make a difference. Number 3, uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. And the result is you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. We guarantee it, or your money back. www. What a Wonderful World. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day, as my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. Use the 2 most powerful words in English language 3 times a day for now, the rest of your life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To harmonize and network kindness. And remember, please use 4-letter words. Remember the words we use: positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. Love, life, hope, play, free, gift, swim, and teach the world to F you. Add couple, double N, and you can get people's attention. You can share these remarkable insights into how to live fully, lovingly, caringly, with humility, and you'll have more wealth than you could possibly spend in 3 lifetimes. So a prayer from wonderful Tim and Barry. Go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Tim, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.